الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا مباركا يليق بجلال قدره وعظيم سلطانه، واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له، واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله. ادى الامانه ونصح الامه وكشف الغمه وتركها على المحجه البيضاء لا يزيغ عنها الا هالك. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى: يا ايها الذين امنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. ويقول الله سبحانه وتعالى: وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان واتقوا الله إن الله شديد العقاب. ويقول الله سبحانه وتعالى: يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. I bear witness there's no deity worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, the sustainer, the provider, and the lawmaker. And that indeed He has revealed the law, the constitution that people should follow from above the seventh heaven through Muhammad, His last messenger, peace and blessings be upon him and all of those who follow him until the day of judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty, tells us in the Quran, commands us, O you believing people, men and women, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullah, be God conscious. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the mu'adhin says Allahu Akbar, remember Allah. Reflect on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Reflect that Allah is greater than everything. And because of that, that's the reason we're here. That's the reason we're here. Because Allah is Akbar. He is greater than everything that He, of course, has created. اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد. And shall a soul see what it has prepared for its tomorrow? For that day we never know when it would happen. For some of us, it might even be before birth. Before the mother gives birth to her child, it might come out dead. For others, it might be a few days. For a few, it might be a few years. And for some of us, it might be a couple of decades or a few decades. But sooner or later, we're all going to depart this life. We will be under the earth, 6 feet down, awaiting our accountability. It will be either a pit from the hellfire, wal-'iyadhu billah, or a garden from Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us in this beautiful ayah, be ready, be prepared for this day. And again, He commands us, and be God conscious, or protect yourself from the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through piety in your heart. Indeed, Allah is all-knowing. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to cooperate on righteousness and piety and not to cooperate on evil and transgression or ithm and sin. Indeed, Allah is severe in His punishment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses all of mankind, believing and disbelieving, saying, O you people, worship your Lord, the one who has created you and the nations before you, so you can achieve this taqwa. Inshallah, before we start, I'd ask the brothers who are sitting in the back and on the sides, unless you have a medical condition, if you inshallah can join us closer, because this is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and the Jama'ah. We don't want to have empty gaps, and as the Prophet ﷺ has reminded us in the hadith, the first row gets a lot of blessings and praises by the angels. They witness for the first row. So inshallah, those sitting in the back, the youth on the side, I would ask you to come forward inshallah and get the blessings of the first row. Inshallah, today we continue the journey that we started a couple of months ago in the last khutbah a couple of weeks ago, which is walking the talk. And we started a couple of months talking about how success is dependent on two key elements: Iman, belief, coupled with work. Each one cannot work by itself. Each one does not stand alone, but they have to work together. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in multiple places in the Quran, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. He's giving glad tidings in Surah Al-Kahf to the people who believe, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. He didn't just say those who believe. We always see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says those who believe and do the good deeds, there's no fear upon them. There's no fear. There's nothing for them to worry about. And this is the formula for success. And we talked about Surah Al-Asr and the 4 elements that if anyone is missing those, he or she shall be among the losers. And we talked about how in the last khutbah, 2 examples of deeds that are significant and important. The salah deed, which is a gift, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in one hadith, it is the pleasure or the coolness of his eyes. And of course, it's an obligation on the believer. If we lose it, then we're out of Islam. And the deed of being good to our fellow Muslims and to fellow humans in general. When we look around, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us, specifically the Muslims in this country, with two great blessings. The blessing of Iman and Islam, and the blessing of living in a country that is advanced, that is progressive in the different sciences and fields. And this is a blessing that many of us might have taken for granted. But if we just reflect for a few moments, some of us have family members back in Palestine, or Syria, or Pakistan, or Egypt, or any of these other places, or Africa, where there's a lot of atrocities and difficulties. But alhamdulillah, we wake up in the morning in peace. We pray our prayers, we can come to the masjid. There's no police checkpoint stopping us, checking our IDs, telling us, where are you going? No, you can't go back home. Like what happens in a lot of what is so-called Muslim countries. Or in other parts of the east of the planet, where they might be arrested just because they're going to the masjid at this early hour of the day, or because they're fasting Ramadan. So alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed us with peace and safety, and with the ability to come and congregate in this beautiful place in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But something very interesting about this nation, when we look around, there are a lot of things that make us say subhanallah. When we look at the medical advancement and the engineering advancements that take place in the research labs and the universities of this country, it is only a believer who sees the results and sees the manifestation of this and says, subhanallah, indeed it is Him who made the human intellect able to develop this airplane that can take off at 500 miles an hour and through the aerodynamics lift itself and cruise into the skies for 22 hours non-stop from New York to China and land peacefully. Subhanallah. And there's so many things in this complicated system that could go wrong. But it is only a believer who sees the results of a research lab or a medical institution that can cure a disease and could say, subhanallah, this little virus can turn the world upside down and can kill millions and millions. But it is through the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He blessed some of mankind with some knowledge that they could understand this creature and deal with it in a way that protects the rest of humanity. It is only a believer who can see this stuff and reflect on the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are many people who work in these fields who are not believers. They don't even believe in the existence of a Lord or a deity or a creator. And they call this just Mother Nature. So this indeed is a blessing. And inshallah, this did not, as we will see, this did not just happen haphazardly. But it took planning. It took meticulous and details. It took effort and hard work. People who went to school, who studied, who advanced, who took the responsibilities in this life seriously, regardless whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim. People did not become scientists just, out of coincidence. They did not become authors and writers just because, it happened one day. It was hard work. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us this parable in the Quran, as we shall see. So the infrastructure that this nation is built on is great indeed. And we have to appreciate it as Muslims. We have to recognize that there's a lot of effort put into it, regardless what it looks like. Whether it's a big Sears Tower, or a high-speed train, or a highway that spans 3,000 miles, whatever it is a good piece of artifact that deserves appreciation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a similar example in the Quran, in Surah Al-Kahf. When the people went to the Qarnayn, and they asked him to help them protect themselves against Ya'juj and Ma'juj, what did he do? He scanned the planet. He went to the east and the west. He surveyed the communities and the societies. And then he brought the resources. First, he said, مَا مَكَّنِّي فِيهِ رَبِّي خَيْرٌ. Whatever my Lord allows me and gives me enablement, makes me enabled to do, inshallah will be good, will be khayr. I can't do anything except by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first thing he did is he did tawakkul ala Allah. He purified his intention. He had this taqwa that we just started the khutbah talking about. He remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and remembered that this job he's doing, building this dam, which is an engineering artifact by today's standards, is only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the success will only come through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to get the reward for it in this life and in the hereafter, this intention has to be in his heart. It has to be recognized. It has to be there in his heart. So he said, مَا مَكَّنِّي فِيهِ رَبِّي خَيْرٌ. Whatever my Lord allows me to do is good, because it comes from Allah. فَأَعِينُونِي بِقُوَّةٍ. Now he gathered a team of people. He gathered a community. He can't do it alone. Today, unfortunately, we see a lot of institutions in the Islamic sector, non-profit, who operate by one or two people, even though they might have a board. But there's this one or two people that you see coming around, doing the traffic, giving the announcement, telling people where to park, collecting the donations, and this is not acceptable. Where's the rest of the community? This is not what the Qarnayn did. He brought a team of people together. And the quwwah, a strong team that could work together steadily and steadfast. And then he started getting the resources. Zubar al-Hadid. He started putting the iron and the molten copper on top of it to build that big set. So it was a process. And it took time. But he looked at the details. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed just this little piece of the story for us to reflect on. So that we understand that things need planning, need dependence on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, need a community, need resources. It's not just enough that you be a Muslim, you pray the 5 prayers and you be a good pious Muslim, but you're bankrupt financially. How are you going to support yourself or your family or your community members? It's not enough that you have wealth and you be a good Muslim, but you're bankrupt intellectually. How are you going to comprehend and think and innovate and be an example for others? So a Muslim life is a complete life in the dunya and in the hereafter. Inshallah, we reflect on a couple of ayat from Surah Ibrahim, a beautiful surah that talks about 2 main themes, the good and the evil. The good represented in the messengers and the prophets, and the surah starts by talking about the message itself, a great book that was revealed for people to reflect and understand. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Musa alayhi salam and Ibrahim alayhi salam and the people of Ad and Qawm Ad and Lut and so on and so forth with Hamud. And he grouped all of these messengers and all of their messages in one side. And then he starts talking about the disbelievers and the hypocrites and the people who mocked these prophets and made fun of them. And he puts them on a different side. And he gives us a glimpse of the hereafter, where those disbelievers and those who did not follow the message of the prophets ended up in the hellfire. And then he gives us a statement that shaitan will make on the day of judgment. When the matter is done. وَقَالَ الشَّيْطَانُ لَمَّا قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَعَدَكُمْ وَعَدُ الْحَقِّ. And shaitan said when the matter was done and people got their accountability and those went to the hellfire and those went to the Jannah, Allah has promised you the promise of truth. And I have promised you, but I changed my promise. My promise has no value. My promise is just talk. It's just imagination. It's just whispers. My promise has nothing. It does not hold up anywhere. فَأَخْلَفْتُكُمْ وَمَا كَانَ لِي عَلَيْكُمْ بِسُلْطَانٍ. And I had no control or authority over you. I just invited you, and you accepted the invitation. That's all it is. I said just, sit on the couch, watch the news, and don't worry about Isha. I said just go look for more money. Don't worry about, your kids. They're fine, they're playing with the neighbor's kids. I just whispered in your ear. I said, it's okay to do this. It's okay that these people are being killed. What can we do about it? I made you complacent. I invited you to be lazy. I invited you to be stingy and to hold back. And you just accepted the invitation. I have no control over you. This is what Shaitan will tell the disbelievers and those who followed him on the day of judgment. فَلَا تَلُومُونِي وَلُومُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Don't blame me, blame yourself. Blame yourself. And then a few ayats after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about a beautiful example. And this is the core of the khutbah today. So inshallah, I ask that we all pay attention, especially the young people. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us a question. أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا كَلِمَةً طَيِّبَةً كَشَجَرَةٍ طَيِّبَةٍ. Have you not seen how Allah has gave a parable, an example, a good word, similar to a good tree? أَصْلُهَا ثَابِتٌ وَفَرْعُهَا فِي السَّمَاءِ. Its roots are held tight and strong down into the earth, and its branches are high up in the skies. تُؤْتِي أُكُلَهَا كُلِّ حِينٍ. It brings its fruits at every moment, or every now and then it brings its fruits. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is revealing to humanity a very important principle, the principle of a strong foundation. This tree has a strong root system, keeping it down in the earth, where it's steadfast against the wind and the storms and the tornadoes. Whatever hits it, it's strong there. It's held fast, set fast against the desires and the temptations. It's not leaning left or right. It doesn't care. It has deep roots. Not just that, it's standing with dignity and honor and courage, to the point that its branches are high up in the sky, giving provisions every once in a while to people and creation around it. And there are different interpretations of what this tree symbolizes and what this word symbolizes. Some scholars say the word could be something as simple as a smile in the face of your brother. Just a good deed. And other scholars could say it could be as comprehensive and complete as the entirety of Islam. And some mufassirin say the word is, I bear witness there's no deity worthy of worship but Allah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا رسول الله. Just that word is just like that tree. It is a strong tree with a strong foundation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking every one of us, when we walk down in the woods or we go to some forest where there's huge trees and we look at the tree, this is an example that should kind of trigger that thought process. Subhanallah, who made this tree so steadfast? And oh Allah, can you make us as steadfast as this tree? It brings its provisions every once in a while by the command of its Lord, or the allowance of its Lord. And here the scholars say this kull heen could be the revelation of a book or the prophet once in a while in the past. Because as we said, the surah started mentioning all these prophets and all these messages that came for one purpose, to confirm the message before, which is the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the belief, the essence of this whole Islam. وَيَضْرِبُ اللَّهُ الْأَمْثَالُ لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَذَكَّرُونَ. And Allah shows the examples to people so that they can remember, so that they can reflect on it and ponder. So many scholars represent Islam as if it's a tree itself, where Aqidah is the roots of the tree, the faith, the creed itself, understanding the angels, understanding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, understanding the book, having the taqwa, having the purpose in our life and a mission, that we're here for a purpose, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to be the proper representative of the way of Allah on this earth. These are the roots of the tree. And the ibadat, the salah, the zakat, the sawm, the hajj, these are the stem and the trunk of the tree. It carries the tree. Just like those 5 pillars of Islam carry the house of Islam. And then the branches and the fruits and the provisions are the mu'amalat, the transactions, the fiqh of how we do things with one another, the marriage, the relationships, the inheritance, the goodness that Islam brings, the justice, the equality, the fairness, the mercy, the compassion, the integrity, all these beautiful attributes that any Muslim should possess in their heart are the provisions of this tree. So the message is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, did you not see this tree? Did you not see this good word? This good word could be the thing that makes this community as strong as that tree. It could bring this community together. And then he goes on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَثْلُ كَلِمَةٍ خَبِيثَةٍ كَشَجَرَةٍ خَبِيثَةٍ. And the example of a malicious or evil tree, word, is like an evil tree. اجتثت من فوق الأرض ما لها من قرار. It has been taken swiftly off of the earth. It has no control. It has no ability to do anything about it. Just some wind would come and would, push it away. Sometimes you find, some weeds in your front yard or backyard, and you just go to pull it thinking it's going to be hard, and it's very soft. It has no roots. That tree is just like that. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, an evil word, or an evil deed, or an evil belief, or an evil system is going to be taken away out of this earth sooner or later. Maybe not in our lifetime, but sooner or later, just like the people of Ad and Thamud and Fir'aun, their systems collapsed. Where is Fir'aun today? Where is his army? Where are the Romans? Where are the Persians? The nation that does not have justice, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shall destroy it, even if it is a believing nation, as Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in other words, is telling us and giving us glad tidings, O believers, never give up or lose hope. The evil shall be taken off, just like this weak tree that has no control, no ability to do anything about its condition. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر لكم فاستغفرونا غفور رحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد خاتم الرسل النبيين ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Inshallah, my dear brothers and sisters, we want to leave today's khutbah striving to be a strong tree. Striving to be someone who can sit in a khutbah for 25 minutes without looking at his phone. Striving to be the parent who gets out of their comfort to go sit with their child before they sleep, to read them a story, or to talk to them about their day. We want to be a strong tree in the face of the fitan, in the face of the desires, whether it's women, whether it's wealth, whether it's just having a fun time, or hanging out with a cool group, or whatever it is. We want to be a strong tree in the face of difficulties and tests, whether it's sickness, or losing a loved one, or losing wealth, or losing a job, or just being lonely, or being at the final stages of our life by ourselves in a nursing home. Whatever that difficulty might be, or being that lost teenager who's just trying to get out of the troubles they're in, not knowing who to talk to or where to go. We want to be that strong tree. We want to be not only a strong tree, but a giving strong tree. Because this is the example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. تُؤْتِي أُكُلَهَا كُلِّ حِينٍ. This tree brings its provisions every once in a while. It's not a dormant tree. It's not a tree that comes to the masjid 5 times a day, prays and assalamu alaikum, and that's it. No, it's a tree that comes for Jum'ah, and after Jum'ah it mingles with its brothers and sisters to create and form a community, to discuss the issues we have at hand and do something about it. It is a tree that volunteers and gives some of its time once a week to the elders and to the youth. What's ironic, I come from an organization not too far away from here, a couple of miles, and the volunteers we have these days are either very young people or very old people. They're either 70 and above or like 15 and under. Subhanallah. As if the 30s and 40s and 50-year-olds do not exist in our communities. Which is strange. Today, our brothers at the Howard County Detention Center are not having their Jummah. The first time in 8 years that they cannot have their Jummah. And the reason is us. Every single one of us sitting in this room is accountable in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we only have 4 volunteers. And the person who was supposed to go today, he's an elder brother. And he's been in hospital for 8 days. He just came out this morning and he said, I can barely stand up. And the other 2 young brothers, they're giving khutbahs elsewhere. So there's no one to give them the khutbah. The first time in 8 years, we have to send the jail an email saying, we're sorry. Tell the inmates to just pray in their own cell. And the story goes on. There's a lot of deficiencies in our community. We're losing our youth on a daily basis. Whether it's things and trends at school that confuse them, or things in the society that pop up, or things around the world that make them confused. They just decide to go take an airplane ticket and go somewhere to help out goodness, whatever it is that they think it is. And the blame is on us. Because we're not there to teach them. We're not there to sit down with them and explain to them who are these groups and what they're about, or even what Islam is all about. To most of our youth, all they understand about Islam is this is halal and this is haram. And most of the things are haram from their perspective. When it's the complete opposite. It is a beautiful, simple, lovely deen where pretty much everything is halal except a few things we can count on probably 2-3 hands. And these are the evil things that if we truly understand the beauty of Islam, no one would want to approach them to start with. But it is because our youth are so confused. They've become alienated from our faith. They feel that they have no identity. They're confused between being, whoever can fit in their school and Muhammad or Ahmad or Kareem in the masjid. And emotionally and psychologically, that is devastating for them. And some of them cannot be that strong tree, so they collapse. Our elders are getting older, and some of them are starting to live by themselves. Because again, in the past 30 years, we failed to build communities that now can take in these elders and give them dignity and honor in their last days. Last week, I was approached by a 70-year-old brother who escaped his home country 14 years ago when he made it known to the public that they have a health epidemic, hepatitis C. And he was threatened that his life would be taken. And he was ordered basically to leave the country within 24 hours. So he landed here in this nation. Since then he's been living alone, but he's been active on the internet, writing articles for some online magazines, talking about global issues. But he has a slew of medical problems because of the torture he endured when he was back home. And now his daughter comes to live with him to give him some assistance, and the landlord kicks him out. Because according to the state where he lives in, 2 people can't live in his 1-bedroom apartment. So he has to move out. And this brother on Eid Day sends a message saying, I wish Allah can take my life. I wish Allah can take my life because I feel after this old age, I've stood for the truth. He stood in the face of the president of his home country at a public event and asked him, how come hepatitis C is so prevalent in this country? They snatched him on the side, and within 6 hours, he got a threat. He said, I stood up for the truth when I could have been a multimillionaire. They closed down my publishing house, And I could have been a famous public figure. But I chose integrity. I chose the truth. I chose the path of Islam. And this is his situation today. So we want to be a strong tree, a tree that has passion to our youngsters. A tree can understand them and connect with them. A tree that has passion and compassion and mercy for each other, one another. That can give each other excuses and extend our hand to help each other, to build a true community. A community is a place where people do things together on a daily basis. It's not 1 hour a week. It's not, 12:30 to 1 o'clock on Sunday when parents pick up their kids, or from 12 to 3 on Jummah. That's not a community. That's just people coming doing their bare minimum obligation and they're going back to their own life, their own business. But a community is when each one of us here knows who the other person is. They understand each other. They have a common goal to elevate the Howard community Muslims, to spread the message of Islam, because it is a message worthy of spreading. And we live in a nation that is worthy of embracing it. So why are we not doing that? Why are we letting others define what Islam is for our own children in the media, in the schools, in the public arena, and sometimes even in our own masjids? One time, a talk was given at an area masjid, and this brother walked up in the middle of the talk, and he disrupted it, and he started criticizing left and right, to the point that the youth who were sitting there became so confused. Some of them stopped coming to the masjid. They said, you know what? These people are not qualified, so it's better not to come at all. We need scholars, as if these scholars are going to fall down off from the sky upon us. These scholars are not going to come to us unless we're worthy of receiving them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send us the scholars. He will make those scholars come from among us. But no scholar is going to drop off from the sky on us, and we're sitting complacent, waiting for some scholar. So the question that I leave each one of us today is, what are we going to do? And we have to do something, because if we don't, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will replace us with people who can do something, inshaAllah. We want to be a tree that is strong and can extend help to others, can help a brother find a job, can help a sister have a modest, decent life, independent of asking for zakah. We want a tree that can give elders an extra hand, that can help a brother find a wife, that can keep this community intact. This is the tree that inshaAllah we strive for. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَلِكُلِّ أُمَّةٍ أَجَلٍ فَإِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهُمْ لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. For each nation, there is an end. Not just people. As individuals, we all know we're departing, but also nations. For each nation, there is an ajal. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not pleased with a nation, He shall wipe them off, regardless what they believe in. And we've seen it in some Muslim countries. We've seen it in Spain. We've seen it in this own country where there used to be Muslims centuries ago. And they're nowhere to be found today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Yunus, وَلَقَدْ أَهْلَكْنَا الْقُرُونَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَمَّا ظَلَمُوا وَجَاءَتْهُمْ رُسُلُهُم بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. We have destroyed the nations before you when they were unjust. And the clear signs have came to them. The clear message was given to them. And they refused it. وَمَا كَانُوا لِيُؤْمِنُوا. And they would not have believed. كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْقَوْمَ الْمُجْرِمِينَ. These are the criminals. The ones who get the message, they reject it, and they don't want to believe in it. ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ خَلَائِفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. And then we made you the believers, the inheritors, and the representatives on this planet. Yunus alayhi salam had a mission. His mission was to spread the guidance. He was a prophet. And he spent so much effort spreading the message that no one believed in him. So he kind of gave up. He said, this place is no good. I'm just going to go somewhere else. He jumped on the boat. The boat was about to sink. They said someone has to jump off. 3 times they choose someone and it comes out to be Yunus alayhi salam. So he jumps off. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes the whale swallow him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, Yunus alayhi salam would have stayed in the belly of the whale until the day of judgment. Including this day and the future until the day of judgment, except that he remembered his mission. He remembered that Allah has sent him for a purpose to deliver a message, not necessarily to change people's hearts. That's not in his control. Our job is to spread the message. Our job is to connect with our kids. Our job is to do something for our elders. Whether the result happens or not is not in our hands. We might never see the results. The Prophet ﷺ is not living amongst us here to see Islam in Howard County. He did his job and he left the results to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Yunus alayhi salam recognized this, he said, La ilaha illa anta subhanak inni kuntu min al-zalimin. Indeed, there's no deity but you, Allah. I have been from among the transgressors. And only at that point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought him back. And when he came back to his town, he found that everyone became a believer. This is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just like Yunus alayhi salam and all the other prophets, we are being tested. So are we going to walk away? Are we going to be lazy like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described Adam alayhi salam when he said, فَلَمْ نَجِدْ لَهُ عَزْمًا? We did not find in him energy and power and motivation. Are we going to stand strong? So 4 steps, inshallah. We want to be the best we can. We don't want our youth to be a doctor or an engineer or an accountant or a scholar. We want them to be the best. We want them to be the engineer that invents something of use for humanity. While he's inventing it, he remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, make my product work because it's going to save the lives of millions of people. Oh Allah, make this medicine work because it's going to cure millions of people. We want our youth to be the mayors and the governors and the attorneys and the engineers and the scientists and the scholars who make a change. Not the ones who go to an 8 to 5 job to make some money, get married, have kids, and the cycle repeats. Because that is not a tree that is giving. The tree that is giving is a tree that has impact, that gives life, that makes a change. And as such, we adults, those in our 30s and 40s and 50s, we have to be role models. We cannot be coming to the masjid to pick up our kids at time of salah and we don't go into the masjid. We cannot do that. This is just plain hypocrisy in the eyes of our kids. Even if our hearts are not like that, this is what they see. My dad keeps telling me pray, but he picks me up from Sunday school 1:15. The prayer is 10 minutes later, he doesn't pray. That's how they see it. We have to be role models. To ourselves, to our wives, to our children, to everyone around us. We can't double park in the masjid. We can't come late to Salat al-Jum'ah, but we're punctual at our jobs. That's a double standard. And a Muslim does not have a double standard. When they told the Prophet ﷺ, we worship your deen 1 year and you worship our deen 1 year, his answer was no. It doesn't work that way. And as such, we have to have a standard. The book of Allah and the message of His Prophet. That is the standard. It has to be followed everywhere. Number 3, preserving our identity, especially for the young generation. We do understand how difficult it is, especially in these times and days with the internet and all the influences you have in the society, to uphold your belief. But don't try to go with the flow. Do not. Because you will end up with no identity. You'll end up nothing. And you won't be happy in this life or the hereafter. So what do? You go back to your role models and ask for help. Just like that young man came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, إِذَنْ لِي بِالزِّنَا. O Prophet of Allah, I ask you to give me, approval for fornication. What did the Prophet ﷺ do? He showed him the compassion and the mercy. He pulled him close. He said, would you like it for your relatives, your mother, your sister, your grandmother, your aunt? And his answer was straight no. He said, as such, people don't like it for their daughters, their mothers, their aunts, and so forth. And he made dua for him, and he let him go. He didn't bash him. He didn't lock him up. He didn't kick him out of the masjid. No. If you're a person and you're having problems, the masjid is your place. It's a myth that some people are not good enough for the masjid. That's a myth. You need to come to the masjid. You need to talk to someone. But don't just accept the status quo that I have to fit in and do what other people are doing so that I can have self-esteem. You're never going to get self-esteem by pleasing the creation. So in conclusion, we want to be that complete tree, my dear brothers and sisters. A tree that is strong, a tree that is giving. Not a tree that is malicious, that has black dots in its heart. Inshallah, after the Jum'ah, there are some sign-up sheets for people who want to volunteer, whether at the Taqwa or Ilya, or whatever you want to do. But there's a lot of need. There's a need for mentors, there's a need for adults, there's a need for young people. So inshallah, make an effort at least to drop your email and phone number. And it's going to take us some weeks, because we're really stretched in. This place probably run by 2, 3, 4 people. So it's going to take some time to get back to those who leave their emails. So if it takes a while, don't give up. That doesn't mean they've forgotten about you. It just means that they're overloaded and they just need some help. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this a blessed gathering. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who follow the book. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us dignity in this life and mercy in the hereafter. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما واجعل تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل بيننا شقيا ولا محروما. اللهم نسأل قبل الموت توبة وعند الموت شهادة وبعد الموت جنة ونعيم مقيما. اللهم إنك عفو كريم حليم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو كريم حليم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو كريم حليم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم ائتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا واستر ولايانا وبارك لنا في شبابنا وبناتنا واستر عوراتنا يا ارحم الراحمين وارحم كبيرنا وارحم موتانا يا عزيز يا كريم يا غفور يا رحيم. آخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد خاتم رسل النبيين وأقم الصلاة. أقم الصلاة. أقم الصلاة. أقم الصلاة. أقم الصلاة.